How it went your beach day with the
with family?
That's
It was
all your
amazing.
Stanley Cups.
Ice went to the beach with his girl and his daughter's mom.
I went great. We had a great time.
what's up.
You know, they like I told y'all before, we all one unit. They get along great. Nothing. Like everything was
blessing.
fine. I couldn't have had a better day. We all went out to dinner. We kicked it.
All right, but tell me some of the funny stuff that happened.
It really wasn't nothing, bro. I promise you, it was just a regular day. We just hung out.
All right, well, tell me about some of the almost funny things that could happen.
Man, I get it, but I promise y'all, it's not what y'all are thinking. It was just a regular, everybody just chilling.
All right, tell me about some of the funny things you was thinking.
Oh my God, Joe.
Fam, I'm not you. I wasn't thinking
all
that.
right, audience,
Yeah.
I be trying this. Oh my.
Say, hey, listen, I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. I don't know what you want. Telling y'all I live a regular life.
That's not a regular life.
It is if y'all are all mature.
It's right.
No,
It's
they're
right.
never all mature.
Well, then that's
Stop it, Joe.
All right, tell me about,
There's nothing to squeeze.
You
out
think?
here.
There's nothing there.
It's
There's nothing there.
squeezed.
The stone is
There's nothing there, bro. My daughter did ask, can mommy spend the night? No, she asked her mother, can you spend the night at the house with us? And she was like, girl,
We've done our best.
Boring.
yeah, sorry.
Ice clams up on the Joe Budden podcast. So it seems like Ice continues to be someone who just doesn't open up much on the show. Over the last few episodes, you've been able to notice he's not really giving anything away, not even attempting to make his own life sound interesting. And honestly, it stood out enough that I felt like I had to point it out, because it was pretty noticeable. Joe, in his usual joking way, has been trying to call it out, poking at the fact that Ice is holding back, staying reserved. And there's a real case to be made that he hasn't really grown much as a podcast personality in nearly 6 years now. It's right around that 6-year mark. That remains one of the more interesting recurring issues on the Joe Budden podcast. It's like anyone who's known Joe from before just doesn't seem interested in evolving on the show. They show up, but they don't necessarily treat the podcast as a launching pad toward bigger opportunities. So I'm going to use a couple of recent clips in this video to show how this is probably never going away. It's likely going to be a recurring theme for as long as Ice and Ish remain part of the show. So, what actually happened? Well, apparently Ice had some kind of family gathering, bringing together his baby's mother and his current partner for a 4th of July weekend get-together.
Today in passing, yo, where you going? I'm taking my baby mom, the whole family to the beach. That's
funny.
hilarious.
That's funny. See, the problem is they can't identify
How is that
what's funny.
Funny.
What,
They don't know
It might be
what's funny.
entertaining. You're saying funny. Where's the comedic in
I
that?
mean,
Find humor in it.
There's
Where?
bad humor in that.
There's a lot
Are
of
you
humor in
crazy?
that.
Cause you start to imagine like, oh, freeze that nigga. Like I'm thinking some whole other shit.
Yeah, I'm not
I
on
can give you
that.
scenarios
When
that can
does
make that
smooth
whole
legs?
shit.
Now, Joe Budden clearly sensed that if he'd been in that same kind of scenario himself, it would have made for a genuinely funny story to tell. But Ice shut it down, unwilling to offer much insight, even brushing it off with comments like, "That's the kind of content other people make, not something he's interested in putting out there." And there's one more thing worth remembering here. A couple of weeks back, Ice admitted he feels like he's somewhat afraid of his own success.
So far I've learned I got to get outside on a business tip. Like
Even that.
yeah, I've seen it. I've missed a lot of money just by not going outside. Like I've had opportunities where I'm putting other things in. I think it's more of a prioritizing, putting business in front of everything else. With me, it was always putting family first. And in doing so, I do miss a lot of things. And I'm seeing the other side of that. Like, damn, had I did this, this would have been in play. This could have that would have happened. And I just
That feeds into the procrastination too. Like niggas will be like, y'all want you to do this, y'all want you to do that. And you just be like, I put it off. Yeah, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it. And that costs some stuff. We're on the biggest platform in the world, arguably. And
One of, for sure.
yeah. I mean, socially, we might be it. But the fact that we're not taking advantage of it in the manner in which me and Ice especially been have 5 joints. You know what I'm saying? Like that's a long ass time. It flew by, but us not taking advantage of the platform in the manner in which we could have, it's damn.
That raises the obvious question. Success at what, exactly? Ice hasn't really proven he can pull an audience outside the walls of the Joe Budden podcast. Now, with Ish, you could actually make an argument that he has, since he tends to pull solid numbers whenever he shows up on other platforms. As for Ice, sure, you could point to the podcast and YouTube channel he's launched, and when he actually talks about things people care about, those videos tend to perform decently. Even his Patreon, from what people say, is doing well, though it's hard to know how much of that is genuine since plenty of people claim things are thriving just to keep up appearances. What I can say for certain is that back when I used to check out his Patreon, his videos were pulling a solid amount of engagement, which tells me there's clearly an audience genuinely interested in what he has to say. Then you look at people like Melissa Ford and Monique, along with other cast members who've used the podcast as a launching pad into bigger opportunities. Melissa Ford landed a couple of movie roles off the exposure from the show, and Monique's presence at the BET Awards traces back to the visibility the podcast gave her. Then there's Flip, who no longer has to grind out low-tier content and can actually take creative risks now. Remember, before joining the Joe Budden podcast, Flip was mostly doing that street-style content, battling people, running up on folks, that whole scene. But once he got on the show, he was able to travel overseas and invest in equipment to live stream properly. And a lot of that comes down to the financial stability the podcast has given him. But with Ice, honestly, he hasn't really capitalized on any of that. And the ventures he has attempted have mostly flopped. Remember the Caffeine streaming platform he used to be on? That was basically a Twitch competitor that a lot of battle rappers signed exclusive deals with, getting paid to stream there. Ice was one of those guys, and tuning into his streams back then was honestly a pretty rough, boring experience. Then there was the failed Cooling with Ice show on Twitch, which also didn't land well. It really feels like Ice approaches these things purely for the paycheck, rather than genuinely trying to build something. He's never really shown that drive to push a project to the next level, and that's really the core issue here. Creative work is supposed to be a space where people strive for excellence, but with Ice, it often feels like he's doing the bare minimum. And that actually ties back to the criticism Joe had for Rory and Mal. It was never really about their work ethic, it was about the business structure they operated under. Joe didn't love that those guys were able to look at the numbers and start questioning expenses, whereas Ice just does the bare minimum himself, shows up to the podcast, and that's about it. His real asset right now is that he's genuinely likable, and credit where it's due, because plenty of people in this industry aren't easy to work with or be around. And that's not a shot at any one person in particular, just an observation that difficult personalities can really throw off a show's dynamic. And honestly, that likability might be Ice's biggest strength right now, because things are getting a little rough on that front. And the cherry on top came during a conversation about Charlemagne and academics sitting down to hash out their differences on a podcast, where the sentiment was, it'd honestly be better if situations like that got handled.
I know a lot of people are going to say, Danny, that's actually solid advice. Personally, I think it's terrible advice, for a couple of reasons. First, Charlemagne and academics are both showmen at their core, so realistically, they're going to handle this in front of the camera regardless. Second, that kind of take is just too limited. It doesn't give the audience any real reason to stay engaged with what you're saying. If your default response to everything is avoid conflict, conflict is bad, conflict isn't good, I'm sorry, but that's just not how entertainment works. We watch drama unfold because conflict drives the story. If a character in a drama show suddenly decided to avoid every confrontation, the show would be over in an instant. That's not how storytelling functions, and anyone acting like they only tune into content hoping nothing interesting ever happens is kidding themselves. What Ice could have done instead is something like, I personally think these guys should settle it privately, but knowing academics and Charlemagne, neither one is backing down, so this is clearly headed for the cameras. And honestly, I'm here for it. I've got my popcorn ready. I can't wait to watch this mentor versus mentee showdown play out. Something with actual personality and take to it. Instead, Ice has leaned hard into playing it safe as a podcaster, and that's honestly something that's bothered me about both Ish and Ice for a while now. This idea that they're somehow above engaging with anything resembling conflict or drama, positioning themselves as these purely wholesome podcasters. But the truth is, they only get to take that stance because they're standing next to Joe Budden. If either of them tried building a solo platform doing that same safe content, they'd probably be pulling a few hundred views per video. That's just how this space works, and it always has been. Conflict drives engagement. If you genuinely want to have those calmer, values-driven conversations about parenting or raising a family, you first need to build an audience large enough to actually want to hear that from you. But let me know what you all think about these last few episodes from Ice and his, I don't know, noticeably passive approach to podcasting lately. I just don't think he's bringing it, honestly. He hasn't been bringing it for 6 years now, and the only reason he's still got a seat at that table comes down to loyalty and friendship. Joe's gonna platform his friends regardless of whether the content is strong, and if it's not hidden, so be it. That's just how it is. But I think that creates a real problem, because Joe clearly isn't willing to cut ties with his friends, and that's part of why every Wednesday or Saturday rolls around, I'm just not as eager to tune in to the pod as I used to be. I've said this before, and I probably sound repetitive at this point, but there was a time I'd rush to listen to the moment a new episode dropped, because something compelling was happening. Lately, those moments feel fewer and farther between.